My name is Nathan Stallings, and I am the program chair of the Radiologic Technology program at Tyler Junior College. This is general information about the program and steps in application, things that you need to know in order to apply for the program at Tyler Junior College. So this program started in 1972 when two hospital-based programs came together and decided to conduct business on the Tyler Junior College campus. So TJC is accredited by the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools, but the program is accredited through the Joint Review Commission on Education and Radiologic Technology. Those are oversight committees to make sure that the college and the program are conducting business in an ethical way. Our program starts once a year in the fall semester, but we take applications starting in the spring semester. We accept 33 students, and that is based on the number of clinical sites that we have and where we can place our students and to stay within the guidelines of the Joint Review Commission. The number of applications we take per year vary pretty wildly. In most years, we take about 80 applications, and the number of applications can extend up to about 250. So the cost of the program depends on your physical location where you live. So if you've lived within the TJC taxing district for a year, then you qualify for in-district tuition. So the tuition itself is around $7,000 for in-district. Out-of-district, that's probably around $9,000. And if you move from out-of-state into Texas, even if you're living in district for less than a year, then your tuition is going to be higher. It's going to be about $12,000. The overall fees, tuition fees, and the equipment that you're going to need and books that you're going to need for the program are going to extend those costs out to about $11,000 for in district, a little bit higher than that for out of district, and higher still for out of state. So admission to the program is by application only. I already mentioned our application period begins in begins in January and extends through April 15th. That April 15th deadline does not vary. We keep the April 15th deadline every year. Applications are due on April 15th. If you mail your application, it needs to be postmarked by April 15th, and you need to be aware that if you mail your application, this is new to 2026, USPS will not postmark your application until it arrives at a regional processing center. So for example, Dallas is a regional processing center for the mail that arrives in Tyler. So as odd as it may sound, if you mail something from Tyler, it goes to Dallas and then it comes back to Tyler. That postmark won't hit until it hits Dallas. So you might want to give a couple of days transit time. So if the application deadline is April 15th, you might want to make sure that you have that in the mail no later than April 13th. Unless it's on a weekend, you might want to even extend it back further than that, so around April 10th. So we have near perfect outcomes on the national board exam. The students who graduate from the program overwhelmingly pass the board exam on their first attempt. We've had two since 2002 who were unsuccessful on the first attempt but went back and crushed it on the second attempt. So we have a 100% pass rate since 2002. Just two of them needed to take the test twice. Completion rates vary year to year, but usually we keep about 70 to 80% of the students who start the program. Employment after graduation is great. Most of our students are working in a hospital before graduation in some capacity as a tech aide or something like that. So there are a lot of career opportunities for rad techs after they complete a program. They can cross-train into CT, MRI, interventional. Some modalities take more education, like nuclear medicine. Mammography requires just a little bit more education, but there is some job opportunities outside of diagnostic radiography. Pay for the local area is about $25, $30 dollars an hour. So that translates into about $50,000 to $60,000 a year, which is not bad for a 2-year degree. It's a 2-year program, so we run through 6 semesters. We have 2 long summer semesters, which are 10 weeks long, and then our spring and fall semesters are traditional 16-week semesters. So our students graduate with an associate's degree as Associates of Applied Science, and that qualifies you to sit for the state and national board exams. You are eligible for that at graduation. So the program is a very busy program. It's near full-time commitment. To start, our didactic classes on campus are 3 days a week, and our clinicals are 2 days a week. So 16 hours on Tuesday and Thursday, and Monday, Wednesday, and Friday are usually from 8 o'clock in the morning until around noon. If you have a lab, that may go as late as 3 o'clock. So lab is only once a week for those first 2 semesters. At some point in the program, that flips so that you're in clinicals 3 days a week and you're on campus 2 days a week. So you need to plan on 2 to 3 hours of study time outside of class for every hour that you spend in class. So if you're in class 3 days a week for 1 hour each one of those days, that's 3 hours. You need to plan at least 6 to 9 hours of study time outside of class. So our clinicals, we do a lot of clinical hours, and that's because in radiography, you're expected to be ready to go to work as soon as you graduate. Some allied health and nursing programs and career fields, once you graduate, you'll do an internship, and they may call it a preceptorship, and that just doesn't exist in radiography. So our clinical sites expect you to know what you're doing as soon as you graduate. So we do a lot of clinical hours. So we start the first week in clinicals. It's very physically demanding. We have a link on our program website that I'll show you that lists what it is that our clinical sites have agreed that students who enter the program need to be able to accomplish. I'll run through the rest of these links here in a bit. This is our program homepage, but if you scroll to the bottom of this section where it says related links, you'll find a document posted that is technical standards and physical requirements. It's very important that you read through this document. These are the requirements that our advisory committee has decided are important for students who enter the program to be able to fully participate in clinical education. So these are technical performance standards. They are physical, mental, and emotional requirements for students who enter the program. It requires attention to detail. Most of the patients that you will see won't ever see a doctor, so you're their only contact. You make the image, you prepare the image for the radiologist, who is an x-ray doctor, to read. And you have to be able to critically think your way through the exam to get the best diagnostic image that you can get for the patient's abilities. Determine whether or not the exam needs to be repeated, and then repeat that exam if necessary to get that best image before you release the patient. The reason for that is you can send the patient home with an undiagnostic image, and the doctor can't do anything with it. So you have to be able to pay attention to detail and think through those exam types. So this requires a simulation of knowledge. Most of the patients that you're going to see in clinicals don't really look like the patients that are discussed in positioning textbooks. So you have to take what you learn in class and apply it to the patient in front of you in clinicals. Critically think your way through that patient and figure out how to get the best possible image. So the requirements to apply: 2.5 GPA minimum. If your GPA is higher than that, that's great. The minimum is 2.5 GPA. If you have coursework that brought your GPA below 2.5 and that coursework was 10 years ago, we do have mechanisms in place to disregard some of those lower test class grades to elevate your GPA a little bit, but that assumes that your recent coursework, you have very good grades. So you also have to complete Biology 2401 or some sort of equivalent. If you've completed Biology 2402, that's great. It is also helpful. Um, I recommend that if you can get Biology 2402 in, then go ahead and do it. You have to take the HESI test. It has to be proctored. You can't take it at home, and the minimum score is 75. So it's the HESI A2, and off of that, what we require is math, reading comprehension, vocabulary and general knowledge, spelling and grammar, anatomy and physiology. Then we also like for you to take the learning styles so that you know how it is that you learn, and also personality profile as well. So then I back up to we require 8 hours of shadowing. Your shadowing needs to be completed in a radiography department, not in CT, MRI, nuclear medicine, or a different modality within the hospital. It also needs to be scheduled as soon as possible. The radiography departments are relatively small and can only accept so many people to shadow at one time. And if you wait until March to set up your shadowing, there's a very real possibility you won't be able to get into a hospital. So do that soon, do it early, and do it only in radiography. So these are 2 4-hour shifts in a hospital. Cannot be within a doctor's office. It has to be in a hospital, and that is so that you get a full idea of what it is that we're going to do in clinicals and probably what you're going to do as a career once you graduate. So all the application documents can be found on the program website. We'll take a look at that here in a second. The first thing is that you have to be a TJC student. That's a formality. There's a link on the TJC homepage. It's just a big yellow button at the top of the page that you would click and then fill out the required information, and you will be assigned an A number. The A number is just your unique identification number for TJC. And then there's also on the program website the program application documents that I'll show you in a minute. So there's a selective admissions application, a program application also that is really nothing more than signature pages. You have to complete the selective admissions application because the signature pages don't give us any kind of information on who you are, what your A number is, or how to contact you. You have to submit your HESI A2 scores, your official transcripts, your shadowing paperwork. Those are also on the program website. Your shadowing paperwork is essentially a sealed and signed evaluation from the technologist that you shadowed with, and also a log form. So just to show you where to find those documents, we go to the program website, and it can easily be found by going to tjc.edu. This is the application for TJC, but if you do a search for Radiologic Technology, then what you're going to find is our homepage, and that looks like this. And on our homepage, you can find our degree plan, but more importantly, what you're going to find is over here your related links. So if you want to apply to the program, this is a step-by-step how to apply. The application packet here consists of those signature sheets I was mentioning before. There's 2 links here for shadowing paperwork. This is the evaluation form that you would present to the technologist that you shadow with. They would fill it out, put it inside of an envelope, seal the envelope, sign the back of the envelope, and you submit that signed envelope with the evaluation inside with your application. The log form is just something that you would complete to show us what kind of exams that you witnessed. Further down, you will also see instructions for job shadowing, and that just gives you the basic instructions, gives you a couple of contact information for 2 of the hospitals in the local area. Christus, Trinity Mother Francis, and UT Maine here in Tyler. So you can also find the program handbook, but and that's something that you might want to look through, but is not necessary for application. So frequently asked questions is good. This will open up into a Word document that you can search for your specific question. General Program Handbook. This is something that we just had to add for accreditation purposes. So the selective admissions application is what this is. This is very important to submit. Sometimes we get applications without this. So this is, we are a selective admissions application, meaning that we admit students based on applications specific to the program. So you can apply to multiple programs. We encourage you to do so. Most of the time, the students who apply to our program, who apply to other programs, apply to radiography and sonography, but sometimes some other programs as well. If you're interested in any program, I would recommend that you go ahead and submit an application for each one of those programs. If you get accepted into multiple programs, well, you select the program that you're most interested in. So you complete this, you complete the signature sheets, you do your shadowing, submit your log form and your evaluation, along with other documentation that you're going to need for application. So those would be your selective admissions application, program application signature sheets, your HESI scores, official transcripts, your shadowing paperwork, and make sure that you keep that evaluation sealed. So all of that is available on the program website. It has to be completed by April 15th, keeping in mind that if you're going to mail it, remember to mail it before April 15th, and you would address that or submit it to Suzanne Garrigan. Her office is in the Rogers Nursing and Health Science Building. Her phone number is here. Her email is here. If there's some questions on what to submit or whether or not she received it, you can contact her. After application, there is one thing that we will accept that you need to provide beforehand, but also we'll accept updated transcripts. So that's only part of the application that you can update after April 15th. So if you're taking, let's say, Biology 2402 in the spring semester, and you complete it, then as soon as that semester is over and those grades are posted, you can get us an updated transcript and we will apply that to your application. So we'll also have an orientation meeting. This last application period, we had 250 applicants, and we had people who flew in from around the country. So what we're going to do this application period is we're going to limit that orientation meeting invitations to just 50 students, 50 or 60 students or applicants. And the reason for that is because if you fall outside of 60, the chances of you getting into the program are very, very low. So instead of wasting your time on that, we thought we would just limit our orientation meeting. I will record the orientation, so if you want some general information on the steps post application, you want to witness that, then I'll make that available on my YouTube page. I'll show you the link to that here in a bit. So 2 weeks after that orientation meeting, we'll have interviews with the top 40 to 50 students or applicants, and we'll select our class out of that. So those students will get one of three things. They'll either get a letter that says, I'm sorry, you're not being considered for a position in the program, or they will get a letter saying that you're not currently being considered for a position in the program, but you are an alternate, or they will get what we refer to as a conditional acceptance packet. And that conditional acceptance is contingent on the applicant completing the information in that packet that they received. So what they're going to have is in that is instructions on what to do next, and that would be to respond to us that yes, I want the position in the program. That's really the first condition, but also to complete the information in the packet. So they're going to have a physical and proof of vaccinations, and then the interviews you need to understand are only going to be conducted in person. There's no exceptions to that. We're not going to do any kind of Zoom interviews. So a bit more on applications or vaccinations here. So the vaccinations are things that we can't get around. They're mandated by the state, maybe institution, or maybe hospital requirements. So what you have to have is hepatitis B. Most people had that hepatitis B whenever they were infants. Um, so it was originally thought the hepatitis B vaccination would last forever, and it doesn't. So what if you had the hepatitis B as an infant, what you would need to do is to have a blood titer drawn to see if you're showing immunity still. If you don't show immunity, then you need to have a booster shot to see if that will convert you. If it does not convert you, then you've done your due diligence. You don't have to continue to get booster shots. You have to have the MMR shot, you have to have flu shot, or wear a mask, and that's hospital specific. So flu season comes around, your hospital may offer the flu shot or say that you either have to take the flu shot or wear a mask. If you refuse a flu shot, then for the entire time you're in clinicals, you have to wear a mask. You have to have a current TB test, that's a skin test. And by current, I mean that's something that you're going to have every year. So you're probably going to have it 3 times while you're a student in the program, or once before you enter the program. Then you're going to have it during the program twice, once about midway and once right at the end. So if you have a positive TB test, then what you're going to have to do is take a chest X-ray and get us a diagnosis that there is no active disease. You're going to have meningitis shot if you're living in the dorms, or if you are under 25 years old. You're going to have the Tdap, and you're also either going to have the chickenpox vaccination, varicella, or a blood titer showing immunity. You're going to have to be current on CPR for the entire time you're in the program. So you're going to have to complete that before you get into the program, and then you will have to renew it before graduation. So CPR doesn't really matter what CPR it is, as long as it's for healthcare providers. You need to be aware that before school starts, but after the application period is over and we've conducted our interviews and we've accepted our class, if you get an acceptance package, you're going to get some information on how to complete a background check and drug screen. That has to be done before you start clinicals. I recommend that if you receive an acceptance packet, you get on that right away. And also, if you have something in your background that might show up on a criminal background check, we require you to do what we refer to as an ART pre-application. So the ART, that stands for American Registry of Radiologic Technologists, and their website can be found just by doing a Google search for arrt.org, and it should be your first hit right here is their home page. So these are the people that administer our registry exam, our board exam. So if you get into the search engine here and type in pre-application, then, or ethics pre-application, whatever, your first hit should be this link here. So if you open that up, it tells you what you need to fill out the pre-application for. So before you can take the registry, they're also going to require a background check. And if there's anything in your background that you have not disclosed previously, then they might keep you from taking the credentialing exam, the board exam. So what we require up front is for you to get pre-approval. If you complete the pre-application and they say before you start the program that you're okay to take the registry after you graduate, then there's no reason for us to keep you out of the program. If, on the other hand, you don't complete this and your background check that we require shows some sort of criminal record, you're going to be eliminated from the program before the program starts. So if you happen to have any kind of criminal background, be it a DWI, if it's a less than honorable discharge from the military or anything like that outside of speeding tickets, then you're going to want to complete your pre-application. It takes a few months. They only meet a few times a year, so you want to get that underway as quickly as possible. If you're planning on applying in the spring, I recommend that you start that in January. So the other thing is the drug screen. So you'll do the background check and the drug screen at the same time. Drug screen, if it shows up anything, we're going to have to take your position and give it to somebody else. You need to be aware that CBD oils do sometimes show up on drug screens. So especially, I think it's Delta 8 and Delta 9s, but things like that will show up on a drug screen. Back to the background check, you may have something that you have been told has been expunged from your record, and I can almost assure you it has not. It might be worded in such a way that it for the courts it's not an issue, but it still shows up on your background check. So if you have anything that was previously in your record, I recommend that you complete a pre-application through the ARRT. And if you happen to use CBD, don't use it for a period of time before your drug screen. Both of those will have your conditional acceptance removed from you. Transfer students. We have sometimes students who transfer in, they just want to transfer in their general education credits, or they may want to transfer in from a different program. So transfer credits have to match the TJC classes in credit hours and rigor. So if you're transferring from out of state, chances are your general education classes are not going to start the same identifiers as ours. So let's say English 1301 is ENGL 1301 here at TJC. If you transfer in from out of state, that may be composition 1301 or something like that. So what you would need to do is contact an academic advisor for clarification and have them assess whether or not that class would satisfy our requirement. Now, our biology classes are 4-unit classes. So what we have is biology 2401. That's a 4-hour class. So if you try to transfer in a biology credit that is a 3-hour class, that won't satisfy the requirement. So they have to match in hours in order to satisfy our requirements. Same thing with our ADR classes. So a couple of things on transfer students from other programs. Some programs have some RADR classes as prerequisite classes. RADR 1201, I think, is intro to radiography, and that would transfer. But some programs have what we refer to as our physics class, and that is RADR. Ours is 2309, and some programs offer it as 2209. 2209 will not transfer. You'll have to take our class. Also, students who make it partway through a program and then decide that they want to transfer, a couple of things on that. One, we have to check with the ARRT to make sure that you weren't dismissed from a program for cause. And the other is we're going to check with the program to see what kind of student that you were. But also, the state does not require us to teach our classes in specific order. So I've been doing this for almost 30 years, and I've not seen one student transfer in from another program seamlessly. All of our transfers have been mismatched in the order of their classes that they've taken. So in most cases, if you make it halfway through a program and you're still in good standing with that program, I recommend that you finish the program where you are and then move. Because what's going to happen is most of the time those classes might transfer. You're going to have to take basically a final exam on all the classes that you've completed to make sure that your classes held the same rigor as ours. But it's still going to take you 2 years to get through the program because the sequencing of the classes just doesn't fit. So returning students, sometimes students get partway through the program and they don't complete. So if they don't make it through the first semester, they have to reapply and start all over. If a student leaves after the first semester, there's 3 different reasons why that could happen. Either the student was unsuccessful in a class, or they had some personal issues that caused them to need to withdraw from the program. Maybe just 2 reasons. So what's going to happen is that if they want to come back, then if they left the program after being unsuccessful in one of their classes, they'll have to take that class over completely and also take the clinical course for that particular semester. So if they withdrew completely, they'll have to complete the entire semester. If they completed the semester but failed, let's say, one class, then they'll have to take that class all over along with clinicals. And then if they completed the semester but did not return for the next semester, then they can start in the semester that they would have started in after successful completion of that semester. In all of those cases, though, they're going to have to do testing to re-enter the program. They're going to have to take basically a final exam on each one of those classes that they've completed. So the degree has to be completed within 3 years of their initial start date. So let's say a student gets partway through the program, finishes the first semester, withdraws, takes a year off, and then comes back. The program's 2 years, and that would take them 4 years to complete. They would have to start all over again. So I wanted to show you these links. The program web page, I kind of showed you around that. So pretty much anything that you might need to know about the program you can find at tjc.edu and do a Google or do a search for Radiologic Technology, and it'll show you all this stuff. So goals, how to contact our accreditation, also program effectiveness data. It can be found here. That shows 5 years of our statistics, 100%. Job placement rating 97.7%, first time tester for our completers, and those 2 are the ones I had mentioned before. So also from the program webpage, you can get to the JRC-ERT and look at our accreditation letter. That's here. That's our accreditation letter. This is in-district tuition. This does not include all the uniforms and the books and everything like that. So we also have to give them our program effectiveness data. Also here you can see all of our clinical sites where it is that we send our students. So that's JRC-ERT website. Let's see. We do have, which is not unique, I wouldn't say, but it's kind of rare for a junior college. We do have dorms on campus that you can apply for. We don't usually have students who stay in the dorms, but we might have 1 or 2 per year. So academic advising, if you have any questions on transfer classes, this is really where you need to start. You can contact an academic advisor either through email or their phone number is available as well. or phone number, just so you know, if you call, you're probably going to get a voicemail, and you can leave your information to have your call returned. So our degree plan, if you're curious what classes that you can take before entering the program, you come down to your general education classes. It kind of gives you an overview. It's 20 hours. But anything that does not have RADR in front of it, like Biology 2401, Anatomy and Physiology 1, you can take that before you get into the program. English 1301, Biology 2402 is a general education requirement. It's not a prerequisite. It does help, but it's not a prerequisite. And then you've got some options for these. So if you're transferring credits that you think might satisfy some of these requirements, you would need to contact an academic advisor. Also, financial aid. I would recommend that you apply for grants and really any scholarships that you feel like you might qualify for. The only thing that can happen is you are declined. And then finally, if you want to know a little bit more about the field, I'll show you my YouTube page. It's RadTech Basics, and it is at YouTube. You know, if you just do a search for RadTech Basics, it'll bring it up for you. So in one of my playlists, I've got this, and this is what is a radiologic technologist. So this is a kind of not a real lengthy video. It's about 30 minutes. It tells you exactly what a radiologic technologist does, what career options you have, and it's within a playlist that gives just general information on how to apply to different programs, what your options are, how to find a quality program. It's an application orientation general information.
Hey, listen.
So that's where this particular video is going to go. So I hope this was helpful. Again, I will, once we have our orientation meeting in June, it's going to be the first Thursday in June. It's always the first Thursday in June. Then I'll post that as well if you want some more information on the program.